By the way, did you know the Catholic Church built the Watergate complex as a real estate investment? And they named the Watergate for the dam that went across the Potomac River at that time. It was a water gate. Now, in the Watergate, there were apartments, condominiums, and office section. 3 sections. And inside of the office section was the Democratic National Committee. The FBI found a link between the Democratic National Committee and the White House and a call girl operation, prostitution, that was across the street from the Watergate. I think it was the Plaza condominiums. I'm not sure. I don't remember that. But it was right next to the Holiday Inn that was across the street. The FBI wanted to go in to the Democratic National Committee and find out what they knew. The CIA was also very interested in the breach of security between the prostitutes and the White House. That's how E. Howard Hunt got recruited and Gordon Liddy got recruited to go in there, and they called themselves the Plumbers. They were going to go into the Democratic National Committee to stop the leak, the Plumbers. So here you had the CIA, the FBI, wanting to do this, and the key man was John Dean III.
John Dean. We're going to come right back after this 4-minute break. Our guest today is A.C. Griffith, and we're going to see how this leads into the aerosol crime issue, aerosol program of some sorts that the U.S. government has, and it has already killed people. We'll be right back after this 4-minute break with A.C. Griffith. Stay tuned.
All right, here we go, folks. Welcome back to the Monday edition of the Power Hour. Coming up on 25 minutes past the hour, whatever hour you're sitting in. And, folks, hold on to your hat. You know, there are a lot of folks out there that have been talking about this chemtrail, contrail issue for, 10, 12 years, at least that. And now we're just now starting to get some real information that's coming out. Welcome back to the Power Hour. This is Dave.
And Joyce. And our guest today is A.C. Griffith. As I told you earlier, he had the highest clearances. He was involved with the CIA. He is doing what he believes needs to be done today by telling the truth about these aerosol, whatever you want to call them. What is this aerosol mixture and why? Of course, that's the big question. He was associated with the Central Intelligence Agency operations, and as I said, he had the National Security Agency top clearance, cryptographic clearance. He joins us today from Richmond, Virginia. Thank you again, A.C. Griffith, for joining us. Now, you are linking together Watergate with what's happening today. I find that an interesting transection here.
I wanted to paint a picture of the background of the people and what the people are capable of and how it works. If you look at the bottom line of anything, you're just going to see the bottom line. But if you have an understanding of the nature and how things operate and how agencies operate, that's something that most people have no clue about, and they wouldn't believe it if you told them. But let me go back. We're running out of time, so I'm going to talk. You talk slow and I'll talk fast, Joyce. I told Joyce earlier to talk slow to me today, so that was that joke.
That was the only caveat. If I come on the show, you have to talk slow. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so the Watergate thing was about the prostitution and the connection to the White House, and the White House connection was John Dean III. He was the counsel to the president. He was the president's lawyer. Well, John Dean had an affair going with one of the girls. Maureen Elizabeth Kane Owen Benner was her name. Later married the girl, and her name now is Maureen Elizabeth Kane Owen Benner Dean. So John Dean at the White House wanted to protect her. So he turned on Liddy and E. Howard Hunt and all the people. He even turned on the president. And they bought his testimony against the president. And that kind of in a nutshell, oversimplified, of course, is how Nixon was brought down. Nixon came into the game later. He probably had actually little to do with the actual manipulation. He was manipulated into that. And the CIA was involved in that, and the FBI was involved in it. Fast forward again to the Iranian-Contra. The body count, with the Clinton body count in Mena Airport, Arkansas, was about 75 people that were suicided. The CIA operated that whole thing at the Mena Airport. They put in Rich Mountain Aviation Company, a CIA front, and brought aircraft in from all over the world for refurbishing. Barry Seals showed up again. You remember Barry Seals now with the Kennedy thing and Carlos Marcello, the drug dealer. Barry Seal got a KC-123 out of Wright-Patterson, running guns to South America and drugs back. They were dealing at hundreds of tons of drugs. It was so many drugs, it was like freight trains loaded with drugs. And 75 people that got in the way were taken out, including Vince Foster and all of those people. Noticed an interesting thing. Admiral Jeremiah Border, he was the chief of naval operations. He was a Jewish man. He enlisted in the Navy when he was 17 years old, stayed an enlisted man for 6 years, and then went up in the ranks to become the #1 naval officer for the United States Navy. He was chief of naval operations. Well, unexpectedly one night he decided to suicide himself in his house, and he shot himself twice in the chest with a shotgun.
That's quite a feat.
Yes, it is. Now, he was the chief of naval operations, and he opposed the chemtrail project. Then the chemtrail project started after Admiral Borda was replaced. Jeremiah Borda. He was a dedicated man. He was a sincere man. He was a good man. So you're seeing a picture of how this thing operates. The CIA finances projects with monies earned elsewhere. The monies that go into CIA projects don't necessarily come out of congressional appropriations. And I will tell you that the Congress as a whole is completely oblivious to the aerosol program. They are afraid to ask. I had an meeting with the administrative aide of a congressman. He drove all the way to Richmond from Washington to meet with me. And we spent about an hour. I gave him a complete overview presentation. He looked at me, stood up, and he said, "What do you expect me to do, Griff? They would lie to me, too." That was his exact words. And I shook his hand and hugged the secretary and left. And that was it. That tells me that the Congress, I know for a fact the Congress is out of the loop. Dennis Kucinich.
Okay, we're going to come back from this break. We've got a 3-minute break, then I'm going to let him run with it for 20 minutes. You're hearing from A.C. Griffith here today, and the subject is the purpose of chemtrail aerosols. Ladies and gentlemen, you're getting an earful, and you might want to re-listen tonight on Channel 152 XM Radio. We'll be right back. 3 minutes. We're talking to A.C. Griffith today. He is an individual who has taken it's been a lot of time that he has done in research of this subject, years and years of research. He was associated with the National Security Agency, had a top-secret cryptographic clearance, and he joins us today to help us understand what is in those chemtrail aerosols. And thank you very much again, AC, for joining us. Well, let's talk about the chemtrail aerosols, because you did significant research, got into the program itself. And, sir, what did you learn?
It's not that simple, Joyce. It's a very complicated thing. You must know the people. You must know what they're capable of. You must know their operation, their intent. You must realize that you're dealing with people with no faces that haven't been elected. You don't know who they are. You don't know what they're putting in those aircraft. The security on the substance going into the aircraft, there's very little security on that. Whatever somebody puts in the aircraft is going to come out of the aircraft. That's a real concern. The Environmental Protection Agency has been told to keep their nose out of it. On the state levels, the state various, here in Virginia, it's the Department of Environmental Quality. I was told by high people in that they were told to leave it alone. Don't look at it. Don't look at the air quality when it comes to the aerosols. Look at, talk about ozone levels and things like that.
Well, you mentioned that you had talked to one congressman, and then you mentioned Representative Kucinich as we were going to the break.
Yes, he introduced H.R. 2799, I believe that was it, and it was he was called aside and told to take it out, and he did, and he got very quiet about it. I can't tell you enough that this is a very dangerous thing to get into. It's very dangerous to talk about this. As long as people talk about the normal stuff on the internet, they're okay. The agencies have been told to leave this alone. Now, as in the Watergate and some of these other projects that I mentioned, everybody involved thought they were doing it for some reason, some different reason. They didn't know what it was about. Everybody was going in different directions, and that's the same thing